What's up, everyone? You are listening to the Build Your Vision podcast, a podcast that helps you get where you've always wanted to be, because every visionary needs a plan. This is episode 65. On today's episode, I have with me Koran Godwin, who's better known as Coach Godwin. And I especially like this interview because our guest today has a different type of profession and background. You don't have to be a teacher. You don't have to be a business guru, a consultant, or sell products to follow and build your vision. You can be a visionary doing whatever you want, whatever you love, anything. It can even be sports, and that's exactly what Coach Godwin did. He turned his love for basketball into a love of helping young people grow and become great athletes and ultimately become great people. Coach Godwin was an all-time scoring leader at University of North Florida. He's been inducted into the institution's Hall of Fame. He's the founder and head coach of JumpStart Sports. He's an inventor of the Ball-hog training gloves and some other inventions. He's the author of Everyone Hates a Ball-hog but Loves a Score. He's trained young people to millions of dollars in basketball scholarships. And all of this was possible because his tryout with the Orlando Magic NBA team didn't quite play into his purpose. You'll get more into that as we go throughout this episode. If you get any value from this episode, please post a screenshot on your Instagram story, or you can post it, tag us at Build Your Vision Pod. And lastly, if you love the show, leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. That's the only ask I have of you. All right, let's get into this show with Coach Godwin. Let's go.
Loading.
It's a case study for success.
Be teachable.
What better way to learn than to just ask?
The learning process becomes a journey.
Turning dreams into realities.
Part of execution is totally believing whatever you're doing is going to work.
What are your passions and what are your gifts? And that's where it really starts.
Chances are for taking. Take a chance on yourself.
Any and everyone is capable of being a leader.
You're not going to have all the answers immediately.
Wow.
Mentors to expose you to things that you otherwise wouldn't know.
It was all I thought about in dreaming. Like I would literally get up in the morning, practice, because I knew the time would come.
Just do it.
My name is Coach Koran Godwin. I'm actually originally from New Jersey, all-state basketball player there. Grew up playing ball. Right now, where we are now in the DMV, I would say we're probably number one in the world, Prince George's County for basketball. But back then, it was the tri-state area where I came up in. So right now, it's just a good time to be in the DMV. But I just remember those days coming up and being in the gym. All-state basketball player, went to the University of Buffalo. I initially chose University of Buffalo because the head coach at the time was worth over $200 million on Wall Street. Whoa. And for me, I wanted to be a business major. Didn't know what I wanted to do, but I just had it in my blood, always selling something, whether it be, figuring out how to burn DVDs and CDs before people did, and you really had the code and stuff like that. I was always an entrepreneur, selling T-shirts, selling whatever. So I wanted to go into business. Ended up going to the University of Buffalo. Way too much snow for me. One day was 62 inches of snow. I couldn't find my car. And I said, I called home and said, Mom, it's not going to work. So mission accomplished. Before I left Buffalo, I actually got that job on Wall Street. So my summer job was on Wall Street after my freshman year. And then I transferred to the University of North Florida, which by no accident was 5 minutes from the beach. And I had a great career at the University of North Florida. Ended up breaking the all-time scoring record about 2.5 years. Just had a good time down there. I ended up having a tryout with the Orlando Magic. Due to being all South and doing a lot of good things in the area and being a notable player. So I had an NBA tryout, that was the pinnacle of my career. I felt like I couldn't go any higher than that. Like, if I'm going to make it to the NBA, I'm here, but I'm right here at the door. So I actually shook all the coaches' hands and general manager, told them thanks for the opportunity. I didn't get drafted, but I felt that, through all my accomplishments, being a high school single season all-time leading scorer, college all-time leading scorer, and being able to make it to that level where, I was looking at Grant Hill's locker at the time in Orlando Magic and putting on the NBA jersey. I felt like that was it. And God was telling me that, I want you to give back. So after that, I started my coaching career. University of North Florida, started coaching in college. I moved on to coaching in high school because I got a little bit more autonomy as far as, being able to provide more and actually show into the lives of these young guys. And during that process, I became a head high school coach. I also wrote a book, Everyone Hates a Ball-hog, but They All Love a Scorer. One thing led to another. I started producing videos. I stayed in physical product. I became an inventor, utilizing my background and my business degree. I've gone on to invent, plenty of products now. Ball-hog gloves, which are ball handling gloves. The D-cone, which is a 3-in-1 defender that can be used as a cone. And just various other things, man. I can go on and on, but that's pretty much my background in a nutshell.
Yeah, and when I was talking to Ryan, he was describing. He was like, "Yeah, Coach Godwin." I was like, "Coach Godwin," and he was like, "You know those ball-hog gloves?" I was like, "Yeah, everybody knows the ball-hog gloves, man." I mean, if you're into basketball, you know what they are. Yeah. So I was like, "Really? He made those?" He was like, "Yeah, those are him. That's him." And I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." So definitely, those have expanded far beyond. They're everywhere. I mean, when I saw them, I was like, "Wow, these are pretty cool." And that's an interesting lead on what you're doing now, because most people I talk to who are in sports were like, I was going to go to the league, blah blah, and then it didn't happen, and then I was like, what wasn't that? And it kind of seemed like your story's a little different. It was kind of like you were almost satisfied with where you had gotten to, and you had like two different passions, and you kind of just chose to go one way instead of the other. I don't know if that's it. That's kind of what I'm dissecting a little bit.
I actually went through that process.
Okay.
And there was a bit of depression that kicks in.
Yep.
Figure my whole life I was a star. I was always the leading scorer on my team. Everything's paid for. Your shoes are paid for. Your meals are paid for. Mm-hmm. You're praised. You're honored. I became all-time leading scorer. I had to try with the Magic. And when I didn't make it to the NBA, the option was to go overseas. But I still had credits left to finish school. And one of my friends that's actually a little bit older than me, who went to University of North Florida, is actually from PG County, which I preside now. He told me, he was over in Turkey. He said, it's not worth it. He was like, get your degree because your legs only last for so long. But what you have can take you much further. So that allowed me to have that confidence to say, you know what, forget overseas right now. I'm going to start my coaching career. But during that process, you're not the same guy anymore. You're no longer. Yeah. I was saying, so my first rule, because I saw it coming, I told Coach, I said, look, I'm going to coach for you, because he asked me. I knew not to ask him, because if I would have asked him, you're going to do the laundry. That's the first thing. So I told him, I'm not doing laundry. And don't yell at me in front of the guys, because those were the guys that I led the previous 3 years, So I can't go from being that to being the guy that they throw laundry at. So I did go through a bit of a period where it's like, okay, what I'm going to do now. And after I graduated and had my degree, I was a year removed from basketball. I had college coaching under my belt. Like, what do I do now? So I started actually working at Enterprise, the YMCA first, YMCA athletic director, which was one of the toughest jobs I ever had in my life. I mean, we had over 80 basketball teams. Sheesh. And you're talking about a guy that's, as 20, 23 years old, and you're dealing with 80 basketball teams. You're dealing, that's just a lot,
that's hundreds and hundreds of kids, man.
And having to coordinate gyms, but it was great because I knew at the time that'd probably be the toughest thing I ever had to do. But I worked there and I worked for Enterprise. So you're talking about a mind trip, what I'm saying, where your mind is really focused on maybe playing ball, making money, and now you're cleaning cars.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
we want to get into that, and I want to kind of like seamlessly transition into that, and I kind of want to start at the beginning. Like, okay, you said you're from New Jersey. What part of New Jersey you from?
I'm from Roselle, New Jersey.
Roselle. Okay, is that
so? It's 15 minutes from Newark Airport.
Okay. Cool.
If you know where Newark is, Roselle, I'm right there, Union County.
I'm trying to figure out my way around New Jersey now. My roommate's from New Jersey, so I kind of been there a couple of times.
So Roselle, historically a basketball place, I think it has probably the top three, I would say, my high school as far as state championships. So we won a lot of championships. And Al Harrington is actually from New Jersey.
Okay.
I'm from Roselle. Both of us migrated from Orange to Roselle. And we just have a ton of athletes there. So it's one of those special places it's a small, borough, what I'm saying, outside of Elizabeth, outside of Newark, but one of those places where definitely you get to get in the trenches, and there's a lot of athletes, what I'm saying, coming out of it.
Is Carl Anthony Towns from there too, or he's from a different part?
Well, you would know Roselle from Roselle Catholic now. Okay. So Roselle Catholic, I guess they've actually transformed. They weren't like that back then when I was coming up, but right now they're a basketball factory and they're doing very well. So Roselle Catholic's winning state championships, and I kind of wish it was like that back then, because we only had a few options for private school. You had St. Pat's, of course, and then you had St. Anthony's, and but there's so much talent. I mean, it was just Roselle, period, man. We just fighting each other. So I think the combination of private schools and public schools are very important, especially, we're in the DMV, so we have over 100 private schools.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So as you know, basketball here is absolutely king, and it's nuts because of that, because you have the infrastructure. But people in the basketball world know Roselle for Roselle Catholic now, but back then it was my high school, which is Abraham Clark, Roselle.
Cool. So growing up, all the young kids have those hoop dreams. What was it like for you growing up in New Jersey? And when did you figure out that you wanted to play basketball? That was your thing?
Oh man, my mother just placed me in sports, I think at 8 years old. So she put me in football first. Didn't want to do it. Every kid wants to play video games. And I excelled in football. The basketball season came. I said, no, I'm a football player. She said, no. She put me in that. And then baseball season came. Said, I'm a basketball football. I said, no, you're playing baseball. So my mother was smart enough. I think some parents now kind of let their kids decide at 7 and 8 what they want to do. Yeah. And it's they don't know what they want to do. They don't have any exposure or perspective. You have to put them in everything in order to figure out what they're talented in, and what you have time for as a parent. So, my mother sold into me. She taught me I could do all things through Christ, and that there's nothing I can't do. And she made me play everything. And it's good because she did it for different reasons that I didn't know then. Even for baseball, Roselle is a predominantly black borough. So you'd be a black suburb, kind of like PG County. So Roselle is just like PG, it's just a smaller 2 square miles. And baseball, obviously, you're going to be around different people, Caucasian boys, different type of ethnicities. So she put me in that for that reason, so I can kind of get that balance. So it's different reasons for anything. But definitely had hoop dreams. We had tons of players, always had one of the best players in the country. The ABCD camp was in New Jersey, so I got to see all Americans coming from all around. And we were on top. Even I mentioned Al Harrington before. He was number 1 in the country, number 1 player. And that wasn't a big thing to us. Shaheem Holloway was 2 years before him. He came over from New York. A lot of the New York guys would come over to New Jersey for the opportunity. So, it was just a basketball place. Stephon Marbury, Sham guy. Mm-hmm. It was just, everything was basketball. So for me, what separated me was my work ethic. I actually had a coach named Chris Cervantes, who took interest in me, and he was my trainer. So I had a trainer in the 90s when almost no one did. It was Al had his trainer, which was Sandy with the Real Runners. I had my trainer, which was Chris Cervantes with Fast Break and St. Pat's. So I was at St. Pat's gym almost every day.
St. Pat's, is that same school Kyrie Irving went to?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Kyrie Irving, Al Harrington, Shaheem Holloway. What's my guy that went to Kentucky, got drafted by Charlotte. He's there now.
Mike Gilchrist.
It was a factory back then. So the culture is much what we're in right now, where it's just basketball was everything, man. So I was able to excel.
And what did that look like? Was everyone out there practicing all the time, or did you already separate yourself as far as your work ethic as a kid?
I figured out one day, because I used to go and anything Chris taught me, I used to be at the court every day. So one of the funny things is this: he would teach me different things, and this is how my actually training career started. I started training kids at the age of 15.
Wow.
Because when I was younger, I'd say about 11 or 12. The older guys are playing. I saw the guy that was the man at my high school, Abraham Clark High School, which I knew I'd play at one day. And I went to him and I wanted some type of advice, like give me something. And I'm saying in my mind, he was going to teach me things. He was going to train me. He's going to do all this stuff. And he kind of just brushed me to the side. So I never forgot that feeling. So when Coach Savannah's would teach me something, I would come back to the playground and I'd perform it. And the little kids would come around me and they would say, hey, can you teach me? Mm-hmm. So I actually started, JumpStart Hoops back then when I was 15 years old. And I've been doing this. It's like second nature as far as skill training. Like I've literally been doing this most of my life.
Wow. Yeah. It's crazy how like those little teeny things that happen in life, like trigger something that could literally set up your whole future.
Yeah. I mean, there's always lessons, and I believe you have to fail forward. So there's always lessons, even in failures or disappointments. It's something that you can get out of it.
Cool. So like, okay, you're training. I'm pretty sure you're like one of the best kids all the time on the playground. You go to high school. At that point, were your goals set on going D1, going pro?
Oh yeah, definitely. NBA was always the goal. But within that, I was always taught different lessons because I got to see people that were older than me. I got to see their path. Tim Thomas was from the area, so I got to watch people before me, and something inside of me, was just watching my mother go to work and also come home and do Mary Kay. So the example that I had in the household is that you have to be ambitious, you have to be driven, but you can't do one thing. Mm-hmm. So that was the subconscious lesson that my mother kind of gave to me. So even though I was playing ball, when I came home, I had to find something to do. I had to find something to sell. I had to look into something. And remember, I'm about to be 40, so the internet started kind of when I was like 15 or 16. Mm-hmm. So when I'm at that age where I'm trying to look for things to do other than basketball, here comes the AOL with the dial-up, and I had a computer in the other room. And it took a while, but the world just opened up to me. And it was like just perfect timing, man. It's like, okay, I'm gonna make money through this one day as well.
So what was high school and college like as far as being an athlete?
Oh man, like it's unbelievable. I mean, first of all, it's a full scholarship. So, everyone D1, D2, whatever. I mean, D free is what you want,
Yeah.
Make sure that the education is paid for. So I was fortunate enough to play both Division I and Division II. But it's just a crazy ride. It's tough. You're going to earn that scholarship. It is. They say it's free, but it's not free. Getting up 5 o'clock in the morning, hitting the track. Having to meet certain demands and times. And then, I'll just break down the average day. So you get up 5 o'clock, you meet at the track. You may have to do some 200s, some 400s, or maybe they say you have to do the mile under 6 minutes. You got to be ready to do that. So number one, this is teaching you discipline because you have to get up early in the morning. After that, you probably go straight to the weight room. So you go to the weight room, you're working out, you're already tired, but you got to push through it. After that, you probably go to class, which is, as you know, is probably 2 hours because, college courses, you go twice a week. It's not like high school. Mm-hmm. So you're already tired trying to make it through that. I mean, sometimes, to be honest, you're falling asleep depending on the day you had. Right. Then you can't wait to get back to your room and go to sleep. But now you have to come back to the gym because you have individuals. All right. And individuals is when the college coaches, back in that time, I guess it was a group of 3 or 4 where they were allowed to spend an hour with you. So in that hour, they're doing little stuff that they want you to do during the season, a little skill work and just, coaching you not as a team, but in individual units. After that, you have to play with the team.
Right.
So that's a crazy day.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So most freshmen, to be honest with you, they aren't ready for it. High school, you don't have to do that, and most guys, especially if you got there through your talent, you may really not know what it takes to excel at that level. So that's why the transfer rate is so high. Kids come in, they're not ready. Sometimes you get into the doghouse. I remember my roommate, spent the night at his girlfriend's house, which means he's a year older than me, which means he wasn't there to wake me up, and my alarm didn't come on. And he called me. He's like, where are you? I was like, uh-oh, it was past time. And they said, don't even come. And don't worry about it. On your off day, you're going to come in here, you're going to do double. So it teaches you discipline, but it's extremely tough, man. And also the mental demands too. College, they want to make sure that you mentally can deal with the rigors and what's going to go on during the season. So there may be times where you don't get playing time. You may start one game, next game you may not play at all. You got to get through that. They have you got to figure, you got a college coach is making anywhere from $300,000 to $2 million a year, and his job depends on a 18-year-old jump shot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
You don't see it that way at the time, but the pressure is enormous on him. This is how he feeds his family. So he's going to be tough on you. So it's extremely tough. But once you get the groove of it and you get a good program that matches who you are, and that's why I tell kids, like, the highest school isn't always the best school. You have to go to the school that's right for you, and maybe a mid-major, because they're going to give you the attention you need.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone needs a different amount of attention when it comes to college. But off the court is great. Everything's free, obviously, and you get praise. Everyone knows you around campus. But I'm trying to teach kids something else, that, you got to realize the position that you're in is so influential because everyone's coming to you. So don't be a jerk. You know what I'm saying? Talk to people. Network. Like, you have to network. I mean, that's the purpose of college. Like, the debate now is going on, do you really need college?
Right.
And my whole thing is, why not?
Right.
So college is a group of individuals that are aggregated based off test scores and willingness to go through a process. And while you're in your 20s, especially your early 20s, and you're not developed as far as, being a man yet, and you have time to make mistakes and meet people, like, that's the perfect ground for you to connect with like-minded people that are going to be able to help you out in the future. So it's not always about the book. Like, I don't want my son to go to Yale because it's a different book. It's the same book that's at your community college. Yeah, I want to go to Harvard because his teammate, his father is
right.
Owns 5 banks in an oil business. Like, that's the reason why I want him to go to Harvard. You're networking with people that are just on, like-minded or on another level that can help you out.
Yeah, I mean, the whole college, and you hear on the show, you'll hear me take different stances. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, college is, you don't need college, but you also have to know yourself and what you need. And I'm typically pro college because I went to college. And do I think I needed everything I learned in my degree? Absolutely not. But do I think I was afforded experiences that propel me into the direction I'm going into now? Absolutely. So, you kind of have to know, if you already have a plan and you know exactly which direction you're going, hey, if you don't need a college degree to do that, by all means, go for it. But if you have, my motto is, when in doubt, go to college, because you'll discover things about yourself that you never would have known otherwise. And I kind of want to ask you, I mean, I've never been, the best athlete. I played varsity in high school, but my high school wasn't even ranked. So, I don't know what that means. But, being you were inducted into the Hall of Fame at University of North Florida. You were all-time leading scorer. I know, like, everyone probably knew who you were on campus. What was that like, navigating, like, friendships, relationships, people who are for you or people who are with you just because they think you're going to the league or things like that? Like, I kind of want to know how that dynamic was.
Well, college is different than high school. High school, you have friends that aren't athletes because these are the people that you choose because, you like them. You have a connection with them. Yeah. And college, once you join in college basketball, you're actually in a fraternity. That's what you're in. So most of the people you interact with every day are going to be your fraternal brothers, which are the people that are on that college basketball team. So you're kind of insulated a little bit, if you want to be. By the end of the year, or as time goes on and you're on campus, you get to meet different people, see different people that may be in other fraternities, or people that, if you have a skill of networking, you get the chance to actually meet other people. But that's when you kind of feel that, what I'm saying? Like, that adulation is real. Like, I remember even in Buffalo when I was leaving, I went to a party and, like, these people were going crazy. Like, you're number 32, you're this, you're that. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like, I didn't know it was like that because, like I said, you can kind of stay in your bubble, But yeah, once you come out the bubble, it's like, like you realize that people really, really take to you, and it's up to you to take advantage of the opportunities that may present themselves as far as building relationship equity.
Cool. Were there any crazy stories or anything that was just like, that was weird, that ever happened because of that pedestal sometimes people put you on?
I'll take it back to this time. So my cousin broke my scoring record at my school. So University of North Florida, I didn't know he was my cousin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his name is Dallas Moore, and I'm sitting there watching him, and I watched him his freshman year. He gave Florida, which is obviously high major. We're a mid major, high major. He gave him like 26. I said, "Oh shoot!" And I'm always on the watch list because it's my record, And there's two people that I was watching. A guy named Bo Beach, whose father gave me my first head coaching job in East High School, where Tim Tebow went in Florida. So his father was the head coach. He went to another school. He gave me the head coaching job. So I knew Bo, and we talked to Bo, and I kind of was influential in him wanting to go to North Florida. We just knew each other, and he went to North Florida. So he actually broke my record as well. But Dallas he's number one right now. And I remember saying, man, this kid is good. So my grandmother called me one day when I was congratulating him and said, "Where's he from?" I said, "I don't know. He's from Florida." She said, "Well, I think that's your cousin." Yeah. So he ended up being my cousin. So fast forward to now, we have social media. So I'm talking to Dallas at NBA Summer League last year. And he was telling me how they had to switch his classes because he couldn't really make it to class because of the celebrity on campus. Now, we're talking about North Florida, which is a mid-major, and a school that, people are just starting to learn about. He can't make it to class.
Sheesh.
So just think about that. He had to switch some classes to online because it was that crazy.
That's crazy.
Like he and Bo Beach were on the same team, so they won the championship there, and the place was sold out. Season ticket holders. It got to crazy. So just imagine that times 45 when you talk about being on a high major campus and you being a guy. Man, it can get really, really crazy.
I can only imagine, man. And these kids are 18, 19, 20 years old. It's incredible. Even watching them, in the draft this year. And it's weird because I've always looked up to the people getting drafted in the NBA. Oh, man, that's so cool. But now I'm getting older. These kids are younger than me. They're in the league. Like I would have been in the league for a couple of years now. Yeah. So I'm like, man, I never realized that these are kids. These kids are 18, 19 years old, and they're getting paid millions of dollars, and they have to talk to all these people and have all this pressure. I'm like, this is actually insane what is going on here.
Yeah, and the only way they make is if they continue to get contracts because, those first couple of contracts, you don't know anything about money.
Yeah, exactly.
Things in other people's hands. So, like you say, man, you hear the horror stories, but if they're able to maintain, a lot of them end up doing well, but it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's a huge learning curve.
Yeah, so, you're doing great in college. Your college career is taking off, and you get to go to a tryout for the Orlando Magic, right?
Yeah.
And what happened in that tryout? And I kind of want to start transitioning to the part where you realize that pro is not the future, and you had to make a decision about where you're going to go next.
So it was a bittersweet announcement because Coach called me to the office. I walk into the office, "Hey, Coach, what's going on?" And he tells me that the Orlando Magic want me to come try out. I'm like, "What?" Wow. So I'm sitting there because at the time I went from Division I down to Division II, and then they were going back to Division I after I was. I'm like, wow, what are the chances? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it happened. And I think God was just showing me that anything is possible. I have your back. I can take you anywhere I want you to go.
Yeah.
So it was just a reassurance that I was on the right path. But he also told me that due to my medical history, I twisted both ankles over 60 times. I had a terrible ankle injury. I think going into college. I literally in my visit I couldn't play or anything. I was limping around. They gave me the scholarship. I did well there. Freshman year, my high was 26 points, but my ankles were done. And I didn't really get therapy till I came down to UNF. But they record every time you twist your ankle.
Wow.
No, that was every day for me. I had rubber ankles, And even my senior year, it was hard to play. I had to take Advil just so I can play. That's how bad it got.
Wow.
So he told me, look, we have to give him your medical thing, but just go there and try your best. So I already kind of knew, what I'm saying? Once they saw that, they'll be like, all right, But it was this validation for me, man, all the hard work, man, that I put in over the years. And I put a lot of this into my book, Everyone Hates a Ball-hog, but they all love a scorer, which is it's a free audio book on my website, ball-hog-gloves.com. If anyone wants to check it out, you can kind of listen to my story, or you can buy the book. Doesn't matter. I said that was validation of all the hard work, all the hours in the gym, just to reach the top of the mountaintop. So yeah, man, it was bittersweet. But at that point in time, I've been preparing for that the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Basketball to me was never the end all, the be all. You know what I'm saying? I always wanted to be more than an athlete. That mentality that LeBron James has, I always had that. I never wanted someone to look at me just as an athlete. I wanted people to know that, I was articulate, I was intelligent, and that this basketball is a conduit or means to an end. It's means for me to get to the next level where I want to be.
And now you're done with college. You got your business degree, and you kind of have to just navigate in a space that's no longer with athletics as being the full-time thing. What was that like as far as navigating that space?
Man, especially after, I coached for years, so that was a bit of a buffer. But after that, after I really graduated with that degree, it was tough. It was extremely tough because now, you realize that those free Outback meals aren't free. You realize that a steak costs $15, right? So it was tough at the time. Driving a car in Florida with no AC. It's just the little things just started to jump out at you, man, because people aren't catering to you anymore. It's literally you're starting from ground zero, and it's what are you going to do? And sad to say, a lot of athletes don't take the experience they have. I've been playing basketball since 8, and at that point in time, I'm 23. So I mean, that's a lot of knowledge. 17 years, so that's a lot of knowledge. So fortunately for me, I was able to kind of work a job. I did the YMCA athletic director, then I did the enterprise, and with enterprise, I was able to start coaching and getting back to my passion and ultimately training. So I was able to start, earning income from both sides of the fence.
Yeah, and you started to touch on it earlier. What was that like mentally transitioning and putting yourself in a space where you have to work towards something that you had never worked toward before? It's not basketball anymore.
Oh, man, I called my mother tons of times, man. I remember calling her. It's crazy. In the middle of cleaning out a car. Enterprise cars, they'll do whatever in there. So I'm cleaning out the car, and it's Florida. I'm still in Florida now. It's 100 degrees outside in the summertime. But you got to get out there and clean that car with a white shirt and tie.
Yep.
So I'm out there, and I'm like, man, how did I get here? I had a little bit of depression, a little bit when I was at Buffalo, probably because you can't see the sun for 7 months out of the year. Never not seen the sun. You know what I'm saying? Jersey, it snows, that's it. You know what I'm saying? But you see the sun. So I had a little bit of that, and I kind of felt a little bit of that starting to creep back in. So I had to call my mother. We prayed about it. I'm a Christian man. She's a Christian woman. Based on those principles, and basically, my mother was saying that there's another path for you, and you have to trust the process. So it's funny. I was eating with one of my friends. We were at a restaurant, and someone from the church that I didn't even know was from my church, but she was just there. She's like, "Can I interrupt?" And we were like, "Okay." Me and my boy were just talking. So she was telling him stuff about him that I knew that she didn't know any of. So I'm like, what is going on? This is a crazy, feeling right now because she's telling you about you and your business. So she tells us and that. And then she asked me a question, and I said something about playing basketball, and she said, "Don't worry about that. Just start your own business." You know what I'm saying? So I was like, "Oh, okay." So okay, and so that was one of those pivotal moments where it's like, look, you have all this experience and knowledge, man. Why not give it back and be able to push people forward and get them to the level or beyond where you were? So I get to do that every day. Now I've helped kids in the millions of dollars of scholarships. That's part of my ulterior motive in JumpStart Hoops and training is, getting these young kids, especially ones that look like me and others that don't, the opportunity to get a free education and get a leg up, and also give them the mentorship that I may not have had or known at the time, whether they want to navigate into the professional ranks or they want to be a professional or something else. I'm able to give them different advice. So it's been awesome.
Yeah. And we're kind of segueing into the part of what this podcast is all about, building your vision. Okay. Now you kind of have like a vision. The lady enlightened you, and you're like, okay, you know, I have something to offer the world. I have something to give. How do I put this all into a package where I could deliver it to people and start this business, start this passion project, start whatever it is? It's really hard to start executing. Usually the hardest part is getting started. So what did you do to start what the process of what you have built now?
So one of the things you learn, I learned early in my freshman year, you said, what lessons did I have? I remember we were in practice, we were in Buffalo, and there's a drill called the shell drill. And in this drill, there's an odd number of players. So we'll have 3 guys on defense and 4 guys on offense, and the 4 guys are spread around. And it's an unfair advantage that forces you to talk, communicate, and rotate. So, of course, most freshmen never did this before. You suck at the drill, and in your mind, this is stupid because it's 4 of them, 3 of us. Like, how are we going to stop them?
Yeah.
But I remember being frustrated one time, and Coach saw that the other team was scoring because of me. I wasn't communicating, talking. And he just yelled out, you know what I'm saying, do something, figure it out. So the lesson is that you have to be active. You can't sit at home thinking about your vision. That's not how it happens. You have to be active. You have to do something. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And even if it meant when that guy had the ball, he's going to the hole, I got more physical with him. You know what I'm saying? Because I had to give my teammates time to rotate behind me. Like, it was little stuff like that I learned. But what I learned is you have to be active. So with me, I already had the skill set. I was already training my whole life. Keep on doing that. Now, on top of that, you know what I'm saying, I need a vision. I need a purpose. I need a mission statement.
Mm-hmm.
So my first mission statement was, okay, I want everyone in the world to know who I am. All right, real simple.
Real simple.
I don't know what this is turning into. I just know that in this basketball world, I want everyone to know who I am. So at that time, you know, I'm training, and a guy comes to me. He's like, dude, you're a great trainer. You should put this on video. You know, now we're talking like pre-YouTube-ish.
Yes.
I'm saying YouTube started in 05.
Yeah.
Right. So this is like 06. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I start making videos and put them on YouTube. I didn't know that I was one of the first basketball trainers on YouTube. I didn't know that. YouTube started in 05. When I was putting my videos on YouTube, there was nothing on YouTube but like copyrighted television, like Martin. You know what I'm saying? Like we just talk about Martin and then you look
exactly
phone or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So what that did was that allowed me to create a platform, because you know years later, one of the big trainers now said, "I grew up watching your stuff."
That's wow. That's crazy.
Because in 06, he's 10 years younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
I was 26. He was 16.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what is he looking at on YouTube? It's only a few videos, and one of them is mine.
Yeah.
So that allowed me to build a platform. And I didn't know at the time that's what that was. I just said I want everyone to know who I am. So I did that. I'm putting my videos on YouTube and just doing it. You know what I'm saying? Thousands of people are getting to know who I am without me even knowing, because I'm just, social media, that's the beginning of it. And then social media really hit with Twitter. That's when it got crazy, because now I can develop a following that I can actually see. Mm-hmm. People that already knew me from the videos. So I had a leg up, and now I can start pumping it out, you know? And the other thing I figured, just, you know, my technical background of being in IT, because I'm in IT as an extension of business, is that everything has a white space. So any software that comes out, like anything new, is going to have some hack to it that you can do, you know what I'm saying, at the time. And for Twitter, it was crazy because Twitter was set up to where whenever you follow someone, they would get an email back then.
Oh,
right?
Really? See, that was before I was even on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, this is early Twitter.
Yeah.
So if you were very aggressive in following, and then you had hashtags, you know what I'm saying, you still had the searches.
Yeah.
Well, I can search ball is life. I can search a basketball term and just follow that person.
Yeah.
Because I had more followers than them, most people just follow. Because like, oh, who's this guy? He's a coach. And they didn't know. So I was able to build my Twitter following. I mean, you know, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. It just kept going. You know, so I was able to push out even more content through Twitter, and then Instagram came, and then so it kind of came true. The mission statement came true. I wanted to, as many people know me as possible, and I just wanted to give. You know, even before Gary Vee, you know, put it in the book. You know, Jack jab, right hook.
Yeah.
I was just given, because I wanted, and I knew that part of my talent was being able to teach the game, but also provide drills. That's the one thing that every basketball player and coach wants is drills. And I'm like, I have a million drills in my head. I mean, it's just, I've been doing this since 15.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up in the middle. You can wake me up in the dead of the night, and I could do a workout for you. I mean, I just had that gift. Right. So being able to put that gift on display just created a platform and a following.
Right, and you just started doing something. You took action, and then it kind of just took off from there, and it kind of gave you, okay, well, I need to go here next, and you go. That's what I try to really let people know. It's like, you're not gonna have the plan like all figured out. Like, you got to just start doing something, and then you realize, oh, okay, I need to go here. Oh, okay, I need to go here, and then it turns into, oh, it looks like you had a plan the whole time.
Yeah.
But it's like, nah, I was just going from one step to the next.
Yeah, and and I have all different type of basketball analogies, but it's just like being a post player, right? Mm-hmm. Being a post player, you're not a controller when you get the ball. It's really all the guards, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of post players will be on the block, right? And the guys behind them, mm-hmm. they don't know where he is. Mm-hmm. All they know is they want that ball. You see this all the time. The guard throws the ball. What happens? The guy comes around,
steals the ball.
It happens all the time, right? It's because he doesn't understand that sometimes there's a process to what you want, So for me, the process was get the audience, which is called branding. Build your brand and your platform, and then you can figure out what it is you have. So just like the post player, you got to give that guy an elbow. You got to know where he is. Put your body on him. Sit down low, squat, so that you can know where he is. Mm-hmm. So you know where you want to receive the ball. Because if he's pressuring you to the baseline, I need the ball to this hand. If he's pressuring, you know what I'm saying? But so that taught me that that you have to reverse engineer success, which I always do. And the first step is getting the audience. You can have the best invention, the best thing in the world, but if no one knows about it,
yep.
it doesn't matter.
Now, that draws this question in my head, though. Some people want the audience, and they're like, okay, I need to get followers. I need to get this. I need to get an email list, whatever it is. But then they don't have anything to offer on the other end.
That's what I'm saying. It's a process. In order to get the audience, now you know what I want. I need an audience. I need a platform. People know that now. Right. They didn't know that before. They know that now. People just want to sell. Right. Just want to sell your widget. But how do you communicate with those people again? You know what I'm saying? There was a gap. But now people understand with the audience. So now with the audience, you have to provide value. Like, people message me all the time. Can I have this? Can I have that? Like, you're not giving me anything. Mm-hmm, you know what I'm saying? You're asking to take from me, but you're not giving. So case in point, how this podcast came about when Ryan Gordon, Free Alexander, was telling you about how he got in contact with me. Yeah. He offered his services for free. Yep. I mean, what basketball trainer doesn't need content? Right, exactly. I mean, that's easy. So I'm like, all right, come on up. And then he was able to get in my good graces and gave him the opportunity to actually to build with me and me to understand the young man that he is. And, he wanted some mentorship. I'm like, cool. I like the guy, and next thing you know, Final Four, things happen that way. But value is always first. You got to provide value. Right. Exactly. I didn't want anyone to misconstrue that and say, oh, I need to get an audience. Well, okay. But why would they want to stay in contact with you? You know what I'm saying? But, kind of coming to a close, everyone has ups and downs, in their career, in their journey, in their vision building process. What were some shortcomings or some failures that you experienced in your journey? Oh man, I mean, there's failures every day, especially when you talk about, being in business, having balance. I think balance is the toughest thing, because now, I'm be 40 next year, so you got 2 kids, you got a wife. Yeah. How do you balance that and compete with your 26-year-old self that had all the time in the world to be up, writing books and creating things and creating products? So balance is always something that's needed. And just being able to, if I were to go back, I think I did a pretty good job, but just being intentional about networking, because you can't do it yourself. I think that's, without going into every single failure I've ever had, most things can be fixed if you can pick up the phone and call somebody who's a subject matter expert in that thing. And so for me, I had to bump my head a lot, in a lot of different areas, especially because, just being a trailblazer, being one of the first, on social media, whatever. I mean, no one knew, no one knew this was going to, like Instagram is now reality and the real world is now the fake world now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When it comes to business, I mean,
yeah,
it is what it is. I mean, Kylie Jenner is worth more than, Beyonce.
right. Yeah.
How is that? Rihanna's worth more than Beyonce right now. Like how, it's the embracing social media. So things have changed, and I just believe that my philosophy is to fail forward, man. I love it. Like I love it because whenever you fail, that means it's going to be harder for the next person to duplicate what you're doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So once you navigate it and you get around it, it's like okay, and now I understand the game.
Yeah, that's definitely a quote I use all the time. Like, the easiest thing to do is ask questions. It will save you a lot of time. It will save you a lot of time. Instead of, I mean, you can always figure it out on your own, but if you have the resources around you to kind of navigate and avoid some of those pitfalls, by all means, go that route.
Yeah, and it's for me, like, success, like you want to reverse engineer. A lot of people say success is making money. I mean, I guess that's a part of it. But if you really want to reverse engineer success, it comes from networking. It comes from being around the right people and meeting as many people as possible. And coming from a place where I come from, tri-state area, New Jersey, we're anti-network. You know what I'm saying? We don't say hi to each other. We don't say hi to say somebody says something to you is a problem right away because we don't talk to each other.
Right.
Just getting out of that mindset and traveling the country, you gain perspective. And once you gain that perspective, man, networking, especially basketball, I mean, it's one of the biggest networks in the world. I mean, I can't explain to you how many opportunities I got through basketball. Like literally to this day, like kids I train, their parents do something. We're PG County, the wealthiest African American place in the world.
Yep.
So there's tons of people here that are doing things that are amazing, and it all comes down to networking.
So what's one of the biggest successes that you had so far in your career?
I think that whenever I help somebody get a scholarship, it's just, man, like, I don't know what's bigger than that. Obviously, I, make a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? That's great to have as a goal, But when you leave this earth, what was your legacy? You know what I'm saying? What was your legacy? And to say that you helped thousands of players get scholarships into the millions of dollars, and you helped change their family tree. You help change their perspective on life. I mean, I have college kids come home right now, and when we go to lunch together, we don't talk about basketball,
right?
Like at all.
Yeah,
it's
more
like
than basketball now.
Yeah. Like I have the kid that's at Stanford. Like he's in the elite of the world.
Yep.
Once you get in the Ivy League, Stanford, Duke, like you're the elite of the world. You're in a special group that you really have to take advantage of. Our conversations are deep, internships, how do we get here? How do we get to this person? So yeah, I would say that would definitely be my biggest success, that I've had an impact on other people, and also people that I don't know through my app, through my training. I mean, there's people in Africa that reach out to me all across the world, messaging me every day. How do I do this? How to do that? So, you just want to cement your legacy of one of giving, and just, being blessed, man. It's just letting God's light shine.
Yeah, man, that's good. And last thing, just if you had a phrase, like imagine there was a scrapbook, and in this scrapbook there was everyone that ever lived, and each person had like a quote or a phrase. You know how they have like in high school a thing you could put on your yearbook thing. What would be the phrase that you would want the world to see for under your name?
Yeah, well, I put that every day on Instagram and all social media, and it's God first, work until. So God first is self-explanatory, acknowledgement of the Creator. I mean, we're here for a reason. Mm-hmm. I'm a Christian man. Everyone has their own beliefs, but I believe and thankful, Jesus Christ for dying for my sins, and it's just acknowledgement and the gratitude of being here and having an opportunity to do what I do every day. And then the philosophy of life is work until. So you work until you master your craft. There's no set amount of hours to success. You work until you master your crossover. You work until you become a millionaire. You work until you get that promotion. And when you have that mentality, I believe you're unstoppable. I'm an investor as well. And one of the things about investing is that you don't lose until you sell. Yeah. You could buy a stock at 10. It could be down at 5.
Right.
The stock is down, but you do not lose until you sell.
Yep.
Stay in there and you persevere through whatever it is in your life, if you could just stay in the ring, keep fighting, sooner or later that stock's going back up. And you buy low and you sell high. So God first, work until.
Man, yeah, that's good. And I see you got it's branded all over you, man. Work until. That's nice. Where'd you get that poster with the stick figure, man? That's tough.
Yeah, that's one of my logos, you know. So
that's nice, man.
You got the stick man.
You killed it, bro. That was it, man. I think this episode. Thank you, Coach Godwin, for coming on the show. I hope you all learned something from this episode. I know I learned a lot. This episode was so much bigger than basketball. Everything Coach Godwin said applies to your vision story as well. I hope you were inspired by his story and you are walking away more motivated than when you first started listening. If you want some dope drills, want to expand your basketball game, want to order his book, or just want to check out his brand, all his links and contact info will be in the show notes, so you can check them out there. Follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn for more vision casting and visual building content outside of the podcast. And my social handle will also be in the show notes, so you can just click it there. I will talk to you guys Friday. For real this time, guys. For real, I'll be talking to y'all on Friday. I had some technical difficulties with the episode that was supposed to be released this week, but that will be up on Friday. Until then, keep building your vision every single day. Peace. Hey guys, Clee here. Thanks so much for listening to the Build Your Vision podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I would think you did if you stayed all the way to the end. The best thing that you could do to help support this show is by sharing it with somebody. By you just taking a few seconds to recommend this show to somebody, you are making a huge impact, not only on the success of this show, but possibly on that person's life.